All right, so today I'm revisiting JINJER Pisces, the live studio session, because I'm going to see JINJER live with my nephew here in Minneapolis. So really excited for that, but I want to revisit their music and see as much of their stuff as possible before I go, because I've only heard a handful of their songs. So, starting with Pisces, let's do this. Really cool time signature here. When that guitar riff first comes in with that strumming pattern, it sounds so odd. But then realize it's doing like a 3-4 and then a 4-4 or something like that, counting in sevens, an odd feel. It's really interesting. Ooh. And those ghost notes on the snare, I remember that. That change up right there where the bass starts going dun, 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 dun. Just so satisfying. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It gives it a more even feel coming out of that odd time signature counting in sevens. Now we're in threes, and I mean it counts out to 6, so it's a more even feel, less tense. It's just such a nice release right there. Oh, that hi-hat work over the rim shot. Okay, so this obviously isn't my first time hearing Pisces. I've heard Tatiana's screams before, so they're not like, whoa, shocking. But dang, this riff is so tasty. And the way it's counted out, the first time I heard this, I was so confused what was going on. Now that I'm familiar with it, I've listened to this song several times, and that riff, when you know where it's going, it's just such a great headbanger rockin' riff. And after going so heavy right there, we transition back to the clean guitar arpeggiated, strumming pattern with this really light and tasty drum pattern with all the ghost notes. Just such a huge contrast between what was just happening in that chorus. And what's really interesting about JINJER and why I love their sound so much is even though it's super heavy, almost djenty guitar sounds, you get these really tightly tuned drums underneath it. So they're not like big, bashy, thick drums, but they're nice and bouncy and poppy. And he really knows how to get those tones, those bouncy, poppy tones out of it, and just make it so satisfying to listen to. And then tapping on the bass. Interesting. So clearly there's a lot happening on the bass that it's kind of hard to hear unless you're really intently listening for it. Because to me it just sounds like the bass is going dun dun dun, 2 notes, but he's actually doing tapping work. Oh, so those higher overtones that are in like the soundscape are coming from the bass. That's so interesting. Yeah, you hear that dun 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 dun. That's all bass. Dun 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 dun. There's so much to appreciate. Oh, I can't wait to see this played live. I just have to say, Tatiana's vocals combined with this band, her clean vocals, especially for me. I'm not a huge fan of screaming. I love her scream tone because it's really thick and rich and like deep, but just such a... It's like they've captured magic in a bottle, you know, with this combination of sounds, with her voice, that bass tapping style, the really dynamic guitar playing, and then these drums that just carry everything so nicely, shuffling it along, really complementing what the other instruments are doing. It's awesome. Ooh. Throwing in those toms there to accentuate the guitar in that part. It's an uncomfortable sound, that chorus, but you know, because it's odd, it's got a lot of changes in it. It's not a straightforward beat, but I think it's really fitting to the story of the song, because the lyrics, you know, they seem like talk about changing reality, so it's got to be somewhat of a desperate message. I should really read the lyrics when I get a chance. I do want to dive deeper into this song in a separate video on my non-reaction channel and just really dive deep into what each individual instrument's doing, the lyrics and all that, because I think people told me there are individual performance videos of each member of the band. I can't remember if they did it for Pisces, but I know they have done that with some songs, so I'd really like to dive into those deeper. Gotta get back to the beginning of this part. Ooh. Oh, the way that when this part starts, the bass and the guitar are separated, but then they come together in unison for that one. Do 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 do. It's like, oh, so satisfying. By the way, I just gotta say, I'm so glad that they were able to leave Ukraine and that they're doing this tour. Like, man, that was some scary stuff going on. I know it's not over, but I'm just glad to know that they're safe, you know?
Cherish his life to the underworld.
Oh. I gotta hear that vocal line again. That took this part that's kind of similar to certain parts of the rest of the song, but it's different enough to be its own part. Just a new, fresh feel for the song. 3.5 minutes in, and then she overlaid those vocals on top of it to just really accentuate the kind of, you know, mystic or whimsical sound of this part. Oh, when she brings her full-bodied voice in that part. I think it's the first appearance of that much of belting out in this song. That was nice. Oh, what a nice tone. Oh, so tasty. I'm going to have to revisit this song in more depth because I want to know what scale they're playing on, or because it sounds like it's one of those scales with a lot of half steps and then whole half steps, especially that lick at the end. You know, it sounded like a half step interval, whole half step interval, half step, whole step, you know, kind of like the Byzantine or the Hungarian minor or Phrygian major, something like that. So, I can't wait to pull this song apart. But I want to hear more of their music first, so I'm going to wrap this up. But thanks for hanging out, and yeah, I'll talk to you next time.